Well, there is a question. There's always questions, isn't there? You people just never shut up, do you? But one of the questions that I get quite frequently is some little pimply, gangly little disgusting maggot of the high school offcuts that writes to me, I'm assuming with a ginger Jew fro, saying, Jordan, I'm being cancelled, help me, I get new friends. Stop crying! You're not going to get any sympathy here, alright? Go to your mama for that. Now you come to daddy. And here's daddy's going to give you some tough love. First off, if you were right in front of me, pow! That's what you get for being young. But second, the other thing that I must say is, because this is just common now, if you're if you're a janitor that's Mexican, you can be cancelled in English. You wouldn't even know it. So it's probably actually a really good point. But then they'd just be sitting there being like, oh my God, I can't believe that he harbors cocaine for Mexican banditos. Let's cancel him. Yeah. He's trying to make an honest living. So everybody is at threat of being cancelled. Usually it was just people like me, specifically people like me who had political opinions and stayed in the punditry world for their entire life. Obviously that person is going to be cancelled very often. So Isaac Butterfield and myself have probably been more cancelled, especially because we're out of the mainstream. Too much for them, right? So there's so many factors working against us, and the fact that there is just press narrative surrounded by us of just all of these journalists that are jealous that no one knows their name, and if they saw them die in the street, they'd probably spit on them. And so those people, while with their last ounces of strength, while they're dying in the gutter, are just like, coordinate some bullshit culture war attack on them and die, right? So I have been cancelled many, many times. I probably get cancelled in some way or another every few months. And Isaac Butterfield would be exactly the same. And you know what we came to the conclusion of? And this is pretty much just to sit there and brag about how awesome our lives are, never leaving your house and sitting there just slaving away in front of the computer being like, oh my God, I'm losing relevance. But for everybody that is always writing to me saying, my friends cancelled me, which is hilarious because they're talking about 4 people, not 40,000. But yes, when that happens, this is what you must know, kiddies. This is what everyone must know about cancellation. I don't agree at all with this ridiculous idea that cancel culture doesn't exist, and you'll see it repeated by idiots over and over in the comments saying cancel culture doesn't exist, and they will be the people that do the cancelling because they're trying to justify in their minds that, yeah, you can destroy someone's livelihood because I personally didn't like what they said. That's how important I am, me, right? But yeah, it definitely exists, and the first time that it happens, it sucks. The first few times it happens, it sucks. And then after a while, you realise, good riddance. This is a point that Jordan Peterson came across when H3H3 was cancelled. Remember that? He said something and then his audience flipped out because he's just made an entire audience of making all these people being like, that's stupid, that's homophobic, that's weird, that's sexist. Those people, obviously, he was going to say something on a free-form content machine, mind you, like we all are. I am at the moment. Every time I'm on the podcast, I'm constantly thinking, okay, it's going to happen at some point. At some point, if you are on a podcast, you are definitely going to get cancelled. But here's my response. Good. It's good when you get cancelled. It's very, very good. And the reason it is good is because those people are nothings that you want out of your life, because if they are your friends, I'm here to tell you guys, get some new friends. When there is this idea that the entire world is cancelling someone, when you look at it, the vast majority of people are not getting involved, and the vast majority of people agree with what is being said. It's just that they don't want to get involved because they've got other things going on in their lives. They're silent about it, and they see all these people going, and they think, I don't want to go out on me. So really what you are seeing when someone gets cancelled a lot of the time is you're just seeing a bunch of mentally ill psychos going after somebody because that's what they do day to day. And you will see that these same people, if you go look at their Twitter feeds, the next day they're going to be doing it about someone else for something completely, sometimes it's like the exact opposite of what was just said. So once I remember this like thing of this guy that was saying it's different, just things that I don't really care about and don't have an opinion either way. Just please don't let it happen to me again. But he was saying that it's different when a female teacher is hitting on a guy than when a male teacher is hitting on a chick, because the female teacher, the guy, obviously, and we all know this from experience, fellas, we all know that when you are getting hit on by a female teacher, all you're thinking is, hi-ya! Even when you're 12. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different. And then there was all of these psychos online being like, oh my God, how can you say that? It's a bit trade between man and woman. And then obviously the exact opposite happened, and they're just like, shit, pedo, freak, weirdo, right? So, completely conflictory opinions, and they're just as passionate about both, and they're trying to cancel the people that said them as fervently as they were in the other one. And the reason they are doing that is because it doesn't matter what you said. It's all about them, their issues. Obviously, when you read what they say, every time someone cancels me, what do they start it with? I used to be a fan of yours, but I'm disappointed. So they're an idiot from Reddit. Thanks for outing yourself so quickly. Disappointed. Always some pseudo-intellectual that calls other people pseudo-intellectuals that always uses the phrase disappointed. But I think I'm going to have to unsub. Bye. Like they're telling you off. I've always got one question for those people. Who are you? And I don't even mean that as in, who are you, what's your name? I mean, where do you get off? How can you have such a big ego that somebody who has no, and dumb as well, that someone who's never met you in their life, that you owe them content that is tailored specifically to them? That's the first point. But the second one being that you don't know who they are, and yet you think that you're like on equal weight, and that you can come on their channel and sit there and just be like, and for these reasons, me, some pissant you've never met before, bye. That's how important my opinions are. And once you aren't in front of my screen, you no longer exist. Idiots. But it's a type of human being that does that. And that type of person, and it is just extremely prevalent within our generation and the generation below us, narcissist. Very narcissistic person to think that. Obviously has not developed on from being a baby. Still has no idea about object permanence. Hasn't developed in their head at all. They are self-absorbed fuckheads. And the vast majority of people aren't. It's just that most people aren't fucked enough to sit there and seek out things to get outraged by. And you know why they get that? It's because outrage is a distraction to their own internal demons. If they're sitting there getting on their moral high horse about something, as long as they're doing that, and this is the whole thing, like it varies from day to day. They're always, it's just about following the emotion, because we're always addicted to our emotions, and a lot of people now are addicted to the emotion of like, fuck, yeah. And so, if you are in one of these groups of people that cancel you, go look at those people. Go look at them. They're terrible, aren't they? Really all that's happening is that you have just been shunned and you want that person's approval. That's all that's happening there. And instead, all you do is sever it off. This is how simple the solution is. You ready? This is all that happens. As soon as you get one of those like, normally, but I'm putting you in the naughty box person that I subscribe to, but you're not good enough for me, personally. Some dickhead that has like a stone llama on the front of it, you're not good enough for me. Thank God. That's all you say. Thank God that person is gone. Because every now and then, this is what I've just realized, is that every now and then when you get a huge sub boost, you get all of these dickheads that just liked one video that you did, and then they just assume like, yay, this person exactly like me. And you can tell that they're just going to have a shitty life for the rest of their life. Like if they're like that to strangers online, first off, I don't think they have many relationships, and their relationships are not successful. Definitely unsuccessful. But anyway, if they're doing that to you, can you imagine what the rest of their life is like? They're trying to enter a negative space. They're looking for conflict. They're also looking for punishment over nothing. And this is the other thing that's always infuriating, is you always know that the people that are there doing the cancelling, and I think this is why the rest of sane society hates cancellers, is because it's just so obvious from their tweets, from their messages, that they're bad people with shoddy reasoning, objectively defective human beings that are the ones that have anointed themselves the position to just shun people from society without any basis to it whatsoever, right? Other than really a lot of the time just jumping on the bandwagon. So if you go look at the psychology and makeup of these people, first off, they're angry loners most of the time. On top of that, they're stupid. They never really seem to get the point. Very, very rarely do you ever read any of their comments and they even make grammatical sense, let alone literal sense, right? And then, out of all of that, this is the worst part, these people are only doing it to satisfy an emotion. Terrible human beings. You don't want them in your life. If they are going to shun you for something that you said, and really they are just doing it because of the groupthink in their group and they're just being like, no, you suck. They're just a terrible, badly developed human being. And honestly, every time I have been cancelled, this is the thing, right? The first few times it's just like, oh my God, I'm a social pariah. You walk outside, you realize no one cares or knows. But on top of that, the next few times after that, you're always just thinking, yes, it's just burning away fat. All of these people that could accumulate and do what they did to H3H3, where they really damaged him because he kept fishing for that type of dickhead. But if you just every time now when people are just like, that was a bad take, unsubbed. It used to anger me so much because I was just, again, right, the narcissism of it. But now I just think thank God, another narcissist is gone. So they can't accumulate and do a big cancellation towards the end. This is the good thing about getting mini cancelled all the time. So if that is happening to you, really, and this is something that you should know, it's better that it happened than it didn't happen, because there will come a time in your life when you need to depend on the people around you, and getting cancelled is a really good indicator of, I can't trust the people that cancelled me. You can't. Because they're always acting on groupthink. It's always about getting the approval of other people in this social hierarchy that they've imagined themselves. And if they're doing that to you for that reason, can you imagine if your car was bogged down? Can you imagine if you needed a kidney? Can you imagine if you needed $50? What do you think they do in those situations? They're never good people. You don't want them in your life. It's good that they separated, and you should see it as the gift that it is. Anyway, if you like that, you know where to go. Jordan Shanks. I upload 2 extra videos every week, and they help people out immensely. Immensely. They are an investment in yourself. They are better than anything that you could possibly spend that money on. That minimal, teeny investment. Way better than anything that you could ever invest it in. Look, right there. One of the biggest problems facing Gen Z. Solved, baby. Boom. What's your next question? Done. I've got the answer. Always do. Because I've read a lot of self-help books. And so, a lot of just the same questions of human experience happen constantly. And the one that everyone grapples with now is social media. So that's why we do a lot of social media videos here to funnel you in. So that, bam! $5 for the rest of your life. And then you forget the subscription. Cancel anytime, though. Cancel anytime.